Today we've got a real treat for everybody. Ryan Flint is in the studio. Thanks for being here, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man. I'll give a quick bio on Ryan, and then we'll dive in. So, Ryan Flint, SIOR, is a commercial real estate expert, entrepreneur, investor, and highly sought-after speaker, and one of the most respected and decorated commercial real estate executives in the country. He's one of the most accoladed professionals in the business, with nearly $3 billion in sales and leasing throughout his career. Ryan has been featured in multiple publications and earned multiple top-performing awards for thousands of personally managed transactions. Ryan's life mission is to share his gifts with the people around him. He's more than just a businessman. He's a family man, and he is one of the most thoughtful, loving and fun executives around, hence why he has been given the name from his peers, the Lifestyle Broker. Welcome in, man.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, stoked to have you.
That was a mouthful.
It was.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right, dude. It's good, and I'm glad we could lay the land for everybody, because you've done a lot.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to kind of see your career, and over the last couple of years I've been following you, and
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
It's been fun. It's been a good ride so far, and we're still going.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into everything. So
okay.
I think just start, I guess, for everyone's benefit, would love to kind of hear your story. And I think the first question I usually ask my guests is what should we understand about your upbringing to better get to know who you are today? Yeah,
well, I actually had a really good upbringing. I came from divorced parents, but it was a very loving relationship. I spent a lot of time with my grandma. A lot of people that listen to me or know me, they know how involved my grandma was in my life, and she was not only somebody that I always leaned to, but she was the person that always saw me. So I always went to her. We hung out. She was my best friend.
Nice.
And she was into sports. I was a 3-sport athlete when I was growing up, and always busy all the way through high school and college. And my grandma, even living in Salt Lake, I was up in Davis County, never missed a game. We went to every Jazz game together, and wow. I would spend the weekends with her. So, I learned a lot of traits, or I got a lot of my habits and good work ethic from learning from her. She was a mega entrepreneur. She owned a lot of the tanning salons and distribution centers for the tanning business when it was big back in the day. And she ended up exiting that before her health got to her. But yeah, I got the fashion, the shoes, everything. That's honestly from her. She was always the one all the way up until the day she passed. She had the matching shoes with the matching shirt, and
nice.
And so she was a big influence on my life. But growing up, my dad, my biological dad, was a big entrepreneur for FedEx. He was a big vendor, and ended up exiting his business to FedEx. But I didn't see a ton of him growing up, just because he was really involved with his work. And
sure.
And I look back, and it's good lessons, because he's very active in my kid's life. He's very active in my life. He's quite the amazing individual, and I lean on him for a lot of advice and business sense. But it was good for me to kind of sit back and see, I can love business, but I got to make sure that I'm making those priorities. And he's the first to say it's not worth a big check to lose certain things in your life. So
yeah, sure.
That was important for me, and really cool. But I got started in the real estate business because I was getting out of the fitness business. I had sold, my company, and I was in the transitional phase of what do I do next. I was super young. I had some money in my bank account, so I had a little bit of time and patience, and I went down and I was working special projects for my dad. Really, not a specific role at all, but I was passionate about getting my real estate license. I knew that I didn't want to do homes because I was not an emotional person. Everybody that I knew, and honestly, the more experts that I get to know in the residential space, like Jimmy and Spring and some of the other people,
sure,
they are amazing at that. And they've kind of taken that stereotype out of my mind of the emotional, like you can be very good at that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to work with big businesses. I grew up in a warehouse with my dad. I was walking warehouses. I got to know dock doors and truck circulation, and it was kind of goofy, clear height.
Yeah.
And so I could read power boxes when I was really young. My dad always would, start me out at, helping the guys with the garbage, or he had auctions. And so I was moving pallets around and forklifts, and I learned at a young age how to really work hard.
That's great.
But I loved warehouses. And so, just knowing what that was like, I watched when I was on my mission, or just getting back from my mission, or just before my mission. I can't even remember. My dad had bought in the Gateway Computer Building in Salt Lake.
Oh, really?
Which was about 280,000 feet on 35 acres.
Yeah.
He came from the BDO in Ogden, owning a 180,000 square foot building. And again, I didn't really know what all that meant, but I was passionate about it. And I just remember being in there driving golf carts and scooters.
Nice.
And the broker back in the day was Rad Dye from CBRE, if you remember that name.
I don't.
He was the legend.
Really?
He's kind of who trained Dishman and those guys.
Oh, okay.
And so
nice.
That's who sold my dad the building. And obviously I was 16, 17, 18 years old. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But just seeing how massive it was, and my dad talking to me about for many years about Rad Dye and the money that was in that business.
Yeah.
But how important the relationship side was, and first impressions and the look. And I've always been like the fashion, the people guy.
Yeah.
Most of my conversations and relationships growing up were with my friends' parents. Like that's who I gravitated towards.
Really?
It was just, and my son's the same way. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, working down for my dad doing special projects, we had 8 acres in the back of his property that we just weren't using. Okay. And he said, "Hey, you got your real estate license." I put it with just like a local friend until I figured out like what brokerage I wanted to go to. I didn't know much about them besides the CBRE, right? Because of Rad Dye years and years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But one of my connections was connected to Wick Udy at JLL.
Yep.
And I called Wick and just said, "Hey, my dad's got this land. Come meet with us. And my dad wants me to sell it, but rather than me selling it all by myself, you seem like an expert. I know of you, and I know you're respected in the space. So why don't you come list it with me? And you push it out to your network, knowing that JLL was, number 2 in the world, and it had just opened its flag, months before this call. And anyway, so we worked on that together and gave me assignments to call different people, and through the process, we ended up selling it to Peterbilt, which was across the street. And Wick pulled my dad aside and just said, "Hey, I see Ryan likes this business. He's licensed. Like, what? Can I take him?" And, obviously my dad's like, "Look, that's his decision. He doesn't want to work for me. I know that. He wants to work in the real estate space." So long story short, I ended up going to JLL. I was there for about a year. It wasn't a good fit for me. A lot of I liked all the guys there. It was just, I knew I wouldn't grow. And there was a lot of, over promising, under delivering.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Totally.
And, but again, I didn't understand the game at all or the business. And, I worked really hard. I was starting to make headway in relationships with other brokers. And then, I ended up going and working under Kyle Roberts at Newmark for a little bit. And obviously he is, just the grandmaster Jedi of industrial real estate.
He's a stud.
He took me under his wing, and it taught me so much. For a couple of years until Brandon Fugel came and got me, and it was just a no-brainer, even for my mentors, Kyle and those guys, just how evident it was on paper that Brandon needed me, and the rest was history, man.
And what year was that, or about?
It was probably 2015 or so. 2014, somewhere in there. I was there 8-9 years, and then
nice.
My contract, or I was there 7 or 8 years, somewhere in there. Then my contract was up as Coldwell Banker Commercial was acquired by Colliers.
That's right.
And so we all kind of rode the ship, and I was the president there, and everything was great. Honestly, I have nothing but love for Colliers and Brandon and everybody. Yeah. It was just it became out of their hands. And I didn't, and I'm young. I was 34 at the time, and when this all happened, and I just didn't know really where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. I wanted to be more entrepreneurial, and you know, the new contract was a multi-year contract. You know, a multi-year contract, and there was just something about it that didn't feel right. But the crazy thing, Chase, is that when I left and went to Mountain West, basically they were like, hey, you can put your license here, do whatever you want.
That's
you know,
great.
Which was great. I went into a huge depression.
Really?
Oh yeah. I went into it like I let everybody down. You know, Brandon and I were like brothers. You know, we still are, but it's just different when I don't see him, work with him every day, and we still connect and go to lunch and stuff. But it threw me in a spin. Big time. I felt like I was not good enough, like I made the worst decision in my life. And I was told many times by people close to me that I made the worst decision I've ever made in my life.
Wow.
And so you just have that pressure of, God, I'm really feeling in my heart and through my prayer, like through the Spirit, that I need to just do what I need to do. Yeah. But I always made sure that I left the door open. Yeah. Because they're you know, they wanted me to kind of grow within the brand, and you know, I was working very closely with Luke Kramer, and he's only got so much time left. So long story short, I just, it hurt for a long time. Wow. And there were even multiple times where I told Mountain West, I'm going back to Colliers. Really? I'm going back to Colliers. But yet in the back of my heart, I just knew it probably wasn't the right thing, and there would be some remorse there. So I just pushed pause on the emotional side, and I just started working on myself. And you know, that's when I found some of these great people through the Avengers group, and obviously I was invited to be in the group, and hired a coach, a life coach that has been nothing but gracious for me, and kind of soul searched for a long time, even though that, you know, it wasn't about the money. Money was amazing. My business was on fire. You know, COVID didn't slow down my business. It was my best year. And then the year that I left Colliers was even a better year. And so it was never about the deals or the clients or the money. It was about Ryan and like what I was going through from the personal side, and everything in my life was crumbling. Wow. And then, you know, my grandma got sick, and that spins you for a whole different thing. Yeah. And it just went from, you know, being on the high of highs to, I don't even want to live. I don't even want to be here. You know, I don't see myself like people see myself. And then I would just honestly just fight. And then, you know, through that whole process in 2020, 2021, I had colon issues that I lost 60, 70 pounds in a month, 2 months. Oh, and so gosh. On top of being sick and depressed and, you know, feeling like I didn't want to be here, you know, I had to give myself an ultimatum, honestly. Like I either got to pick myself up and figure things out and get healthy, or I'm going to die. Wow. And so, you know, fast forward, I'm healthy, I'm happier, and, my mindset has shifted a lot on, I don't care to be, you know, the greatest thing that ever walks the planet from a real estate perspective. I want to share what I've learned, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the happy, and the successes with others. And so that's kind of my mission. I'm obviously very involved on the real estate side, and enjoy what I do, and have crafted, you know, that to an expert. But I'm still learning, and I'm still growing, and it's been a really crazy journey. But at the end, I'm grateful for all of it. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but it gives you some context of the ups and downs that people don't see on, you know, on social media, or they don't see when they hear these interviews. It's we're all in the same boat. We all struggle. Yeah. I love that, man. Thanks for sharing that. You bet. That's an incredible story. And because to your point, when I look at you on social media and sitting across from me, I'm like, man, this is this good looking guy who's got it all put together and who's extremely successful and well networked. And I think it just goes to show that everyone has struggles. Everybody goes through ups and downs and hard times. And for sure. Kind of want to dive in that a little bit more. So what do you think from kind of the low
to where you are now, what was the most helpful thing that you found, to kind of pick you back up and get through, that period of time?
People. It was people. And it was people that actually authentically loved me and saw me for me, and that I gave permission to myself to receive it. And that's the problem in this world, especially with me, is we are such tough guys, right? And it's not necessarily from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint. It's, we're so prideful that we've got to put ourselves on this pedestal in this mountain. And, I still get shit for all the time. And, but people don't know me. People that get to know me and actually sit down with me and see me, they know that I'm there for them. Like I try to see people for their best light. And, the fear that I always had was the reaction of others and how they saw me. If they saw me in my depressed state, or they saw me in my sick state, or they saw me in my maybe a down day state, rather than what I've become. I have been relating it to how snakes work, and snakes, basically peel out of their old skin, and they have new skin. But if they don't peel out of their old skin, they die, they shrivel up. And, a lot of times we're judged or stereotyped for the snake that we were, and that snake could be successful. That snake could be a good snake. That snake could not bite people, but our goal as, and I know it's just a metaphor, but that goal is just to continue growing it into new skin and becoming our very best self, and giving ourselves permission to see ourselves for that. Right. And then on the flip side, acknowledge that people grow, people make mistakes, but those that get out of that, not to judge them for who they were. And that was my biggest struggle, or my biggest, insecurity was I wanted the people that mattered the most to me, or that I felt I mattered the most to them, to see me in my best self, or the current state that I was in. And, my grandma was that person always, good, bad, ugly, sad, happy, successful, not successful. She always saw me. She always acknowledged me. And, losing her, in the last moments of, her last couple of days, that's what she told me face to face. Just, we had a tender moment, that a couple of them that, she said, I see you, and I always will see you.
Yeah.
And, I want you to see you, and I want you to be honest with yourself, and just know that I'm always there. And so that's been, honestly, every single day I think about that, and it's part of my kind of daily meditation or breath work or prayers that make her proud. And I'm trying to emulate the person that she was, and start seeing people for their best self, because we all mess up.
Yeah.
But we all have a really good side to us. Yeah. And all we need is that permission from others to feel that, and to say, hey, I see you. I love you. Like, you got this, man. Yeah. It changes people's perspective real fast. Yeah. And so that's really where my goal is. And obviously I do it in real estate, and it's only helped, but I want to be authentic in doing it. And so it's having that integrity with yourself, that if there's a conversation that you need to have to help people get out of that snake skin, you can have it in a way that you can relate, because a lot of people don't know that I've been there. Right. Yeah. And they're like, oh, whoa, okay, I can relate to you now. Right. So being vulnerable and open and honest and relatable is honestly the key to building relationships way past business. Yeah. You become brothers and friends, and business becomes easy. Right. Working with them when they see you. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think when you can get past that superficial level of, hey, I see you, once a quarter or whatever, and you can build the relationships and have meaningful conversations on a different level, that's when long-lasting, bonds form, and it goes both ways with friendship and business, and the synergies that can create are fantastic. Well, even think about this, Chase. Like, think about having the intuition of feeling if I'm sitting there, just say like on a Sunday at church, or I'm hanging out at home watching football, and I pull out my phone, and I'm feeling like, oh, I haven't talked to Chase in a little bit. This has nothing to do with business. This has nothing to do with getting a deal. This has nothing to do with, wanting to get into his little circle. This has everything to do with the connection that Chase and I have. Yeah. I'm going to pull out my phone and text you and say, hey, Chase, you've been on my mind. I'm thinking about you. I hope you're doing well. Let's connect soon. You're going to lift that up. It could be in your greatest day. It could be in your darkest day, or even just a normal day. You're going to look at that and go, I really needed that. Yeah. I really appreciate that. And it comes from the heart and the soul, and it's authentic, because I know what it feels to get those text messages. And it doesn't have to be like, hey, let's go to lunch and catch up. Yeah. Because that's hard, right? Yeah. But a little simple text message saying, I see you, I'm thinking about you, it means a lot to people. That's awesome. I've been working on doing that more, because I know how much I needed that in the days that I was struggling, and my really good days. It picks me up. Yeah. That's great, man. I think if you're going to do that, and I need to do that as well, but it does need to be authentic. Right. And that's so great. And that's something I want to start doing. Are you doing that often, like on a daily, weekly basis? It's not scheduled. It's an intuitive thing. Yeah. And there's I just think about different people, I like driving down here today. It was an hour drive, and, I drove by a lot of the old projects that Brandon and I had together. Yeah. And I pulled out my phone driving and sent him a message. Yeah. And it was just that I was authentically thinking about him. That's and wanted to tell him that I was, and that I loved him and hope he was doing well. Yeah. To tell his family hi. But I don't expect any response or anything like that. I know he will. Yeah. But he knows me in a way it's not BS. Yeah. It's totally out of love. Yeah. And so, just because we're not, quote unquote business partners anymore, or under the same jersey, we still do a lot together, and we still care about each other. And that's what the world's about. I'm so sick of this, competitive nature that is definitely unnecessary. Yeah. I agree. Well, I love that, man. And something I'm going to try to start implementing, and really being authentic and showing love to people without an alternative motive. And I think that's the important thing, man. It is. Well, great. It just kind of talking about where you are today. So you're at Mountain West. Tell us a little bit about your team, what you're working on, kind of what your vision is right now for your team and your growth. We're having a lot of fun. We're in mega growth mode right now, kind of figuring out what next steps are. I've had my own office up in Davis County for a long time. I used to go down to the city downtown, for many years, every single day, commuting and working in the high rises, and it was a blast. But I got to the point where, just efficiency wise, we started to swallow up a lot of the northern market, years ago. And the teammates that I have that work in that office live up there, so I wanted to make it convenient for them. And it's small, it's cute, it's very comfortable. We have a cool culture, but we are in scale mode. We're doing a lot out of market deals, doing a lot in Idaho and the Las Vegas market and Phoenix area, and I'm very strategic about my partnerships down there, so that I'm spending my best time doing what I do best. And so a lot of that is just managing the relationship side, and then having boots on the ground. I have Rand Sargent that works for me. He's quote unquote my operations guy, my COO, and he's my right hand, but he's been my best friend since he was 4 and I was 3. Oh, wow. And I poached him from Pluralsight about 5 years ago, and he's only been the most perfect thing for me. That's great. Our personalities and demeanors are very similar, but very different. And so, he's more of a behind the computer, very organized, making sure everybody knows what's going on, paperwork. And I'm more of a personality. I like to be out, like to be in front of people and interacting and getting relationships. But, we've used him a lot because he's a good golfer. Nice. Yeah. He goes out and golfs with everybody. So it's fun. And then I have Ashley. She was my assistant and she's transitioning to more of a broker just because she's kicking butt and she's got a really good personality and a lot of energy and yeah, so we're expanding. We are doing a lot from honestly St. George to Logan and with just a couple of guys, it's really hard. So strategically we're trying to find the right partners in scaling, but making sure that we're still giving our clients the best attention. And I would say that's our superpower is on listings or buyer rep, tenant rep, we're over the top detailed. Every step of the way, no matter what it is, people know exactly what's going on, whether good or bad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's important. Transparency. Yeah. So are you focused on mostly industrial? You do an office? Kind of what's the product type focus for your team?
Yeah. So on listings, we do office and industrial. Most of our projects are industrial because that's what I kind of started in, and that's what my bread and butter is. But we do a lot of offices. Also, we do a lot of land, and not necessarily on a listing land side. We control a lot of the land in the sense of having those relationships with farmers and home builders and developers, and our goal, a lot of our new construction over the years has been, me helping buy the land years and years ago and controlling the entitlements and all the way through the process through leasing.
Yeah.
And even when it's sold, finding a good fit with them, knowing that I've been involved for many years, that that's just an added benefit, right? So I'm a long-term vision guy. I don't really like to get in and out on projects and relationships. I'm in it for the long haul. So
it's great.
It's about being creative, and the best brokers are the most creative.
For sure.
It's I hate the stereotype that us, obvious realtors have a bad stereotype because there's so many of them. But even in the brokerage world, it's just what's in it for me, and I am just so tired of it. Yeah. And hey, I've learned the hard way. I've had that mindset there because of how I was taught. But you learn real quickly that relationships are everything, and the transactions will come when you just work your butt off and you treat people with lots of love. Yep. And we just tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And sometimes it is what they want to hear, right? And things are good. But there's also times where it's like, hey, activity's low. Let's get really creative. What are you thinking? What can we do? What can we sacrifice? Where can it be a win-win? Because at the end of the day, if I'm winning and you're not winning, it's a no deal for me. And that's very uncommon in our business. Yeah. Well, I love that, man. Sounds like we need to, look at some more deals together and
absolutely
talk
more. I'm excited. We got a couple we're looking at. So, what do you think about current real estate, market? I mean, with everything going on with, the Fed raising interest rates and the economy, what are your thoughts on kind of the next, 6 to 12 months? And has it impacted you guys at all? And
sure. This is going to be probably an answer that not a lot of people agree with, but this is my perspective. It is what you make of it. When COVID hit, there was a lot of my partners in the business that kind of just put their tail between their legs and was like, "Hey, we're in a recession. We're in a pandemic. Things are shut down. I can't go into the office. I'm just going to push on pause and be really conservative." And during that time, I got with my team because we had our own office. We all got COVID, but we went into the office.
Sure.
We were putting our heads together, going, okay, if this stops, we were doing a lot of industrial, so the supply chain was, manufacturing and stuff was on fire, right? And we were blessed with a lot of our clients getting creative, but we called every one of our clients. We sat down and said, okay, this is a time in our business that we can start working on the things that we've been needing to work on. Like, let's spruce our marketing. Let's call every one of our clients, let them know that we're here for them. Like, we're not at home. Yeah. We are at the office, even though we can't come anywhere due to just the uncertainty. Let's talk about what we have going on good, where we need to get creative, what we can do on the marketing side. Now's the time, right? Everyone was just sitting on their hands.
Right.
So in the last couple of months when all of this hit, we kind of took the same stance that, owner users with the interest rates, we're probably not going to get the owner user sales like we were getting, right? I've obviously seen a huge change in the residential side, representing home builders with land. That's definitely slowed down. There's not home builders speccing right now. And so on the land acquisition side, it's slowed down. But hey, there's also some volatile or vulnerable sellers out there that instead of reaching out to those developers or home builders that might be on pause, we're finding creative financing solutions ourselves to make sure that we control the land. So when the market flips, we have a bunch of opportunities for our clients, for our friends. Yeah. And, the leasing side on the industrial has been very strong. And so again, just going back to the whole being creative thing, we look at our marketing, our branding, our approach, our owner updates, the way that we're communicating every quarter. And we ask for lots of feedback. We do surveys and I'll get on the phone with my clients and make sure that we're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. If there's problems, I want to know about it, because my intention is never to get lazy or never to make them feel like, they're not top priority. We'll say no to opportunities, but manage the relationship and refer it out for other people. Mm-hmm. If the ones that we have signed up are, questioning if we're there, and that it doesn't happen very much, but I'm very passionate about people making sure they know that we're here, that they're seen. And, there's just a lot of laziness in just the world right now with the complacity and mm-hmm. Just kind of fear.
Yeah.
And we all feel it, but it's just kind of shifting that mindset of, okay, who can I serve? Who can I do something for? Who can I make feel good? Who can I reach out to that might be a really good friend or a connection that's not in my business, but might be hurting, mm-hmm. and see what I can do for them, because I've been blessed with the ability to do so. Yeah. And, I'm the personality also that if I didn't have it, I still would do that because it just makes me feel really good. Yeah. Because I've received that from others, and it's just, it's life-changing. And so, mm-hmm. The current market is kind of a question mark, but, right now we're staying as busy as we want to stay busy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
And, being creative, and right now we're looking to scale. And so it's good. It's, how can we be creative in this scaling process that doesn't hurt us down the road?
Sure.
And so it's strategic and it's fun, and I'm learning every day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that approach, is making what you can of the current conditions.
100%.
There's people who are going to pull back, and I've seen that. I mean, we've got a deal tied up down in Dallas right now. Yeah. We're trying to get across the finish line. And, of the 100 groups that you'd go out to for equity or debt, 75 of them are like, we're just not doing anything right now. Mm-hmm. So it's challenging, but, on the other side, there is opportunity where you can find it, and where it hasn't been over the last 9 to 12 months with all the demand. So sure. we're I think you're thinking about it the right way, and it's just balancing creativity and also making sure you're not catching a falling sword and doing things that aren't smart at this time. But
totally.
Yeah, man, I love it. Well, I know you've got a lot going on apart from kind of Mountain West and other things. So talk us through kind of some of the investments you're making right now personally. I know you do a lot of investing, whether that's, rolling fees into deals or, doing other stuff on the side or other entrepreneurial ventures. What else do you have going on right now?
I like to be diverse. Obviously, being in real estate, that's where I like to invest, most of my extra income, because I know it, I understand it, and I'm around the right people. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's I invest a lot in the relationships. I have a lot of friends that are doing really well in business, mm-hmm. and some of them need a little capital and some of them need a lot of capital. Mm-hmm. And what superpower I have is I have a lot of connections. I'm mm-hmm. very connected, and it's taken me a long time, and I work really hard at it.
Yeah.
And I've been able to facilitate some equity for people, some debt for people, and in small tranches and big tranches, or just connect the dots that people have been searching for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And I always create win-win situations that they always consider me when I facilitate that. So, there's investments on residential rentals and VRBOs and industrial buildings and multi-housing buildings and land and opportunity zones that I dabble in. I don't put all my eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't have projects that take me away from my expertise.
Yeah.
What I do best. And that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I absolutely love what I do. I'm really diverse. Obviously I have stuff in stocks and,
sure.
And it goes up and down and then down and then down and then down. And
lately, right.
But again, I
tough.
honestly just have the right people helping me, and I trust them and they trust me. And again, this world is just about connections.
Yeah.
And making people feel like they're seen.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. The last year of my life, I've opened a ton of doors on the connection side.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my conversations are, how can I help?
Mm-hmm.
And rather than just shooting a wish over to them that, oh yeah, I can be that source. I work really hard to find that connection, and then I remember, oh, that, Chase needed that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make this introduction, and I know that Chase has enough respect for me that he'll take care of me, and that person will take care of me. And, maybe I'm involved, or maybe I get a little split, or maybe
sure.
I just get a little finder's fee, but
yep.
I'll always usually put that to work.
Yeah.
And, those connections are not unnoticed, so that's a very important thing. And honestly, where a lot of my money is going is just through the right people and having access to the right opportunities at the right time.
Yeah.
And being a part of the groups that I'm in, that's why I'm in those groups, is
Sure.
access.
Yeah.
So, my goal is just to continue developing those relationships so that people come to me, and, whether I can help them or not, hopefully I have a person that is a good fit for them. And then they kind of, do that, they in prosperity, they keep doing that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you think about it the right way. And that's one of the I've always looked at brokers with a little bit of envy, because you guys see so many deals and have so many relationships and an awesome opportunity to, roll fees into deals and build equity and really build wealth in a very meaningful way, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think your approach is spot on, is not always holding the hand out with an expectation of, I need this or that, but
right.
knowing that if you treat people right, it'll always come back around at the end of the day.
Yeah. And pay it forward. That's the word that I was going to say.
Well, Ryan, you've got this lifestyle broker slogan, and you've got your Instagram following, which is, I think, like 100,000 plus followers, right, man?
I'm not sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us about kind of your personal brand. Like, how you envision that? Why is that important to you, from the social media to your website and that stuff? Yeah.
So I've had my my logo, my RF logo, or whatever it is, my personal brand, for a number of years. And, it's kind of ironic that even being with the corporate real estate firms, I was getting away with having my personal brand because it looks so well.
Yeah. It's nice.
There's not other, teams that brand the way that we did. And I didn't really ask for it. I just started doing it thinking, if I was going to get in trouble, they'd let me know, and then I'd do something about it.
Yeah.
But it started with the community. I do a lot of philanthropy for high schools. I support a lot of the athletic programs, and I have for years and years and years, just because of what they did for me in my life. And it was just a way to give back. And so a lot of people didn't know the brokerages that I worked for, Jones Lang LaSalle or Newmark or Colliers or Mountain West. Like they might see them on the signs, but it's they usually have to like think about it, right?
Sure.
But if they see my name, they're like, I know him. He's around in the community, he does a lot for us, and so I speak to a lot of high schools, and I started to do that. Whether it was the juvenile schools that, or the early pregnancy schools like Mountain High School and the athletic teams and, some of the parent meetings. And it's mostly not necessarily on the motivation, but that there's life after baseball or basketball or football or track or, that there is a positive that comes from learning and being in good social groups. And long story short, the evidence of my personal branding is when I left Colliers and went to Mountain West. I realized that people wanted Ryan Flint and Ryan Flint team, and they didn't really necessarily care about what jersey color I wore, whether it was the dark blue or the baby blue.
Yeah, right.
And it was like a huge humbling experience going, okay, these are Ryan Flint's clients. These are Ryan Flint team's clients. These are... now I know why I did it, and then I've just expanded on it. And so the brands that I have, from the capital side or, anything that I do, I've got, it's grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. And it's just been so fun. And the community loves it. And that's special to me, but the personal branding is really important to not just kind of do it, but do it the right way. And then make sure that you're putting it out in a way that you feel comfortable with. I went really slow and almost too slow when I came out of the gates because it was the fear of the reaction of others, right? Like who do you think you are, right?
Yeah.
And it was just my scarcity mindset. But what I realized was if I can just love people the way that I love people, I'll let the brand speak for itself.
Yeah.
Right. And I get pictures of people wearing my hats and shirts and,
nice.
The different things all over the place. And it just makes me smile that people are wearing it with pride. And it's because, they love me and they support me.
Yeah.
And, I obviously try to do the same. And so, there's more to come with the brand. I'm working on something really special,
cool.
A lot bigger and getting the community involved. So it's been a fun little venture. So
that's great.
Yeah. You'll see soon.
I'm excited.
More. Yeah.
I'm excited to see more. And man, to your point, so like this show is called the Chase Hudson Show.
Yeah.
And I mean, my buddies are like, dude, that's pretty egotistical, bro. Calling it after your own name. And I've struggled with that for a long time. Like on my social media, I feel like I've just been in the shadows for the past 5 years. And I still haven't quite, I feel like began my social media era where I'm like posting on a daily basis or like trying to make, slick videos with captions. And that's the end goal with a lot of this. But I've always struggled with like what people will think. Like, are you trying to self-promote? Like, who do you think you are? Like, chill out, bro. I think there's a balance in not, being that guy who's kind of like a tool, but also building a personal brand. I think there's huge benefits to getting your name out there and helping people resonate. Okay, Ryan Flint is a real estate expert. He's a lifestyle broker, and I connect Ryan with real estate because I know his personal brand. So I think you make a lot of good points, man.
And then it's one step further than that, Chase, because commercial real estate is what I do. It's what I'm passionate about. It's how I make my income or living but Ryan Flint is who I am.
Yeah.
And my brand, I work very hard for my brand to represent who I am. Yeah. And obviously it showcases what I do. But the most important about my social media was making sure that people saw me for who I am, and not some fake persona, or that, all I was doing is showcasing these big industrial buildings and saying, hey, look at my flex. Yeah. I started that way because I didn't know any different. And my message was not out of arrogance or a flex. It was, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just wasn't connecting with people people weren't relating. Like I would have my friends that loved me, that saw me, that worked with me, that were my clients or whatever, other brokers that were like, that's sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and it's turned into deals. Hence why the only reason I really have social media, right? Initially.
Yeah.
And then I started to change my message of, I'm going through this depression. I'm going through this health scare.
Yeah.
I'm going through a transition from a very, very good position, president of a corporate real estate firm, to, you know, they're not small, but they're a local big boutique firm. And I was scared.
Yeah.
And so I started sharing the story. I started sharing vulnerability. You know, a lot of my messages or quotes come from the prayers that I had, the breath work that I did, the meditation that I did, the struggles that I had, and putting them in my own words. A lot of times they don't even make sense, but consulting with some of my friends that do this, you know, as a living, social media, and have a very big influence on the world, they said that's where people will relate, is when you're just raw.
Yeah.
And that it just blew up.
Wow.
It blew up. And again, it's not about, you know, the numbers or the followers. It's about being able to touch people's hearts while having the courage to share your message, to share your feeling, and letting others relate. Because honestly, it's the personal text messages, not even Instagram messages, which I manage my Instagram 100% myself.
I was going to ask you that.
I didn't early on, and it was like, hey, will you go look at your messages? You need to respond. And it was like, I don't have time. And I'm like, why am I doing this if I don't have time to respond to people that need my help? Just like I reach out to others.
Yep.
You know, it's annoying when people don't write back.
Right.
When you're just trying to connect.
Yep.
And I was very active in LinkedIn, which is kind of what got me a lot of connections early on.
Nice.
And you know, fast forward, or long story short, I just wanted to be raw. And so there's times that people don't agree with me. There's times that people will send me a text message and just say, Ryan, I needed that today.
Yeah.
You know, I had a conversation with my wife and I needed that. And for me, I'm like, I'm grateful that I had the courage to post that, because I wasn't going to. And I don't post every day. I don't post, you know, at a certain hour every day or follow algorithms. I really don't.
Sure.
I just follow my heart. And there's times where I won't post in a whole week.
Yeah.
And there's times where some really cool things have come to me or happened, or experiences I had, and I want to share them.
Yeah.
And so everybody's different. You know, I get a lot of call it advice or guidance from people that do it really well. And there's no wrong or right. It either works or it doesn't. And right now it's working, you know, and it's creating business, and it's creating opportunities for me to help my friends, because I don't charge for things. I honestly just want to help people, because I was that person that just craved to be helped and seen, and you know, I'm in a position where I get to try and do that, you know, and that makes me happy. Yeah.
I love it, man. I feel like the guys and girls who have the most success on social media are the ones who are most authentic. I look at, you know, like Sean Whalen or Keaton Hoskins or, you know, they're just themselves, and they're just out there putting out content that is real. And that's inspirational, man. I think that's really good, because you've got great content. Like, I follow you, and I'm like, dude,
appreciate
this is
that a lot.
Some high quality, some high quality stuff. So, I love it.
Well, and what's crazy is a lot of people, you know, I'm obviously very close friends with those two that you talked about, Sean and Keaton, and I get a lot of questions about, you know, hey, they're tough on social media. They're just like, you know, pounding at the microphone or whatever, or they really, you know, like themselves on the screen. And I tell them, you have no idea the people that they are. Yeah. You have no idea the conversations that I've had with Sean and Keaton. Sure. On a very intimate basis that have changed my life for the good, that have saved my life in moments that I was the most sad or I was the most depressed. Yeah. And people just need to kind of sit back and, instead of quickly judge, realize that these people are really special. you know, and you might not agree with all their messages, but they're in such alignment with themselves and have gone through so much crap that instead of judging it, just try relating with it and taking something from it. And those two people, those two guys have been, you know, brothers.
Yeah. That's great.
I've known Keaton for 30 years.
Really?
Yeah. We played football, Little League football together in high school and
that's cool.
So on and so forth. But yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And some of those guys, I'd love to get to know them. And that's kind of, you know, part of this whole podcast thing is really trying to level up to kind of the place where you are, where I'm making connections and trying to give people, you know, insight into people who have got great advice and try to be more authentic and get that out there. So that's exciting. Just a couple more things, Ryan. You mentioned some habits that you have and things that you do, like breathing exercise or meditating or what have you. Well, maybe help us understand, you know, what are some of those things that you do either on a daily or weekly basis that, whether it's goal setting or other habits that you think have led to some of your success?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been into fitness. And so I work out every day. That's super important to kind of get your mind right. Sometimes it's a really fast 20-minute workout, and sometimes it's, you know, a little bit longer, a little bit less, but I definitely do that just to kind of clear my mind, to clear the cobwebs per se. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of stress in our business, and, there's a lot of things that I carry on my shoulders, and fitness or the gym or working out has always been kind of my out.
Nice.
When I got sick and I started working on myself and surrounding myself around the right people, I started breath work via Shannon Sperber. She totally saved my life.
Wow.
In a way that I started to feel a spirit about me in a totally different way. So I do that as much as I can. Sometimes I spend 5 or 10 minutes doing it, and sometimes it takes me a little bit longer because I'm sidetracked or, you know, because you got to be kind of in the moment.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say is my greatest habit that I've done for years and years and years is I journal.
Okay.
I journal about my feelings. I dump my feelings, whether it's about my relationship or my relationship with my kids or my relationship with my teammates or hard days or good days or big deals or deals I've lost or listings that I've lost. And I vent to myself and I just put it out there. And, but I also, at the very end, I challenge myself to change my way of thinking. So if it's a positive thing, I'll take it. And how am I going to take this into tomorrow? And if it's a negative thing, then I'll say, how can I learn from this negative thing or this thing that didn't go my way? Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, Chase, almost every single thing is try to find somebody to help.
Yeah.
Because whenever I'm sad or depressed or pissed off, I always helping somebody, serving somebody brings such a spirit to my life that boosts me up. And those are also the times that I'm praying for somebody to serve me, to send me that text message, to give me a call and just say, hey, I'm just thinking about you today. Yeah. You know? And so journaling, and I save all my journals so that one day my girl can open those up and see who dad was, not just see dad for all the accolades or the success, but see dad in his most raw moments and be able to relate.
That's powerful.
So, those are my habits.
Love that, man. That's really good. That's really good. And I think having those daily rituals and journaling or breathing, I mean, those exercise can really make the difference in your life. And just start. Like if you're like, oh, that's so much, I couldn't do that. Literally some of my journals are one paragraph. Yeah.
You know, it's like, quick. I'm exhausted. I can't do anything, but I've committed to myself that I need to write about my day because I'll forget about it tomorrow. Yeah. My life is so busy.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've noticed that on the days that I'm not able to do, because I do kind of similar thing where I'll wake up and write down goals and do a little, planning session. But on the days where I'm, missing those, or I go a couple of days without doing it, it kind of throws you off a little bit. And I think consistency is just really key in building those small wins and confidence and setting those habits. It goes a long way.
Yeah. And if you're try planning the night before.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll turn on some like soft music. Mm-hmm. I like, soft music and like piano music or something that kind of just puts me in a different state, kind of calms me down. You know,
Yeah.
it's like the music Xanax.
Yeah.
And I'll just internalize, you know, my power list. And Andy Frisella taught us the power list. Rather than writing down 100 things to do, usually you get through a couple of them and then you're writing the same 100 things down every day.
Right.
I write down 3 to 7, depending on, you know, what I've got on my plate, are my power list. And if I plan the night before, which I do, and I wake up in the morning and I go through my routine, the minute that I turn on work, I'm already into that power list rather than having to plan or think about
Right.
or remember or, you know, cross-reference notes. And then after that power list is done, sometimes I'm done by 11.
Nice.
You know, then I have the ability to do something like this, or I'll put some ancillary things that I want to achieve, whether it's, you know, I got to run to the dump and take some garbage for my family, or I got to go, you know, run this errand or whatnot. But that's been really powerful that I learned from my mentors on planning the night before so that your day is fresh and it's kind of on your mind as you go to bed and wake up.
I love it. It's great advice. Well, Ryan, last question I have for you is just what advice would you give to somebody who, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, has kind of wanted to take that next step and has either been hesitant to start a business or make that change in their life to propel them to the next level in business? Kind of what advice would you give to somebody in that situation who wants to do that?
That's a tough one. I have lots of advice, and it's probably from reasons of my failure. You know, things that I did the wrong way that I would encourage others to learn from those, so they don't have to go through the pain and the hardship that, you know, you and I go through when learning the wrong way. But finding space in your heart and your mind, if you're in sales or anything with money or whatever, that you can get to the point in your life where it's a win-win or no deal. Even when it might be okay, or it's I'll sacrifice this and it's a kind of a win, but I know it's a win for you and you're my client. To be able to have the courage to say, no deal. Let's talk more. Let's make some, you know, let's create something that works for me and works for you.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really easy conversation when you have the confidence. That's something that I learned the hard way. One of my biggest struggles internally is that I've allowed a lot of people to take advantage of me, whether it's my connections or whether it's that, you know, I'm easygoing or, oh, Ryan will bend. And I've tried to change the narrative and confidence within myself to create that win-win or no deal, because there's no resentment, there's no remorse, there's no, you know, regret or bad feelings when you do that. And it either works or it doesn't work. There's no wrong or right. The second thing is just to start and to look in the mirror and work your hardest to see you for your very best self. That's another thing I've learned the hard way, and a reason why maybe my success was delayed. And I continue to work on that every single day, but also start learning how to love not only yourself, but others, and seeing others for who they want to be, not maybe what state they're in. And instead of judging or ignoring, put your arm around them and facilitate that help, because you know as well as I know, we would have all killed for that person.
Yeah.
Right. And it was because of a certain person or people that down the road came into your life that said, hey, I got you. I see you. I'll let's get you out of this.
Yeah.
No, I'll do whatever it takes. Those are the people that, you know, are the people that I want to take in my car to heaven, no matter what. And you know, the goal is to be that person for others, right? That, hey, I'm struggling. I know who to call.
Right.
Oh, I know he's very busy, but I know that this is important to him. That's better than any deal that I've ever done, honestly. Yeah. And that's where deals come, is just being that good person.
I love it.
So a couple different things there, but
no, it's so good.
Yeah.
So
I've just learned the hard way on a lot of things. And the best advice I could do is just love being you and be in the moment and just go. And whatever you don't know, damn it, just ask people.
Yeah.
Right. Just ask people.
Yeah. That's all you can do, man. I love it. That's such good advice. Well, thanks so much for being on, Ryan.
Thanks for having me, Chase. That was fun.
Everybody go out and follow Ryan on Instagram. I think it's Real Ryan Flint is your handle. So everyone go follow him. He's an absolute stud. And really appreciate it, man. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.